You feel like home.
What's up everybody, my name is Sen, welcome back to the channel, and for today's video I wanted to talk about a little bit of Street Fighter. In one of the most recent videos on the channel, there was a bit of a polarizing consensus about the last three main iterations of Street Fighter, being Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, and Street Fighter 6. It's really cool that what game you like is really dependent on what person that you ask. I'm one of the people that likes all these things, and I wanted to talk about what I value about each of these games, and maybe even some of the things I dislike. Let's start with Street Fighter 4. Even though I wasn't playing fighting games at this time when this game was out, I have a pretty vast love for this game just by retroactively learning a lot of the history, watching a lot of old matches, hearing people talk about the game in depth. I have retroactively learned to love Street Fighter 4. Now, I did own vanilla Street Fighter 4, but as a kid, I really just didn't understand how the game worked. I didn't understand how to do combos. I barely knew how to do special moves. Doing an ultra or super was like near impossible for me. But the actual package of this game is pretty fucking awesome. The trial modes at this point have a sort of legendary reputation to them. Let's do someone that's not in Street Fighter 6. One of the biggest things everyone talks about this game is the level of execution, which I agree. If you're familiar with the game, we all know it's because the game doesn't have an input buffer. So each link that you do is a true link. You can't just like preemptively cancel into it and then like have the buffer take control for you. You have to have timing. Which one of the bad things is obviously the poor netcode. You know, playing in delay-based netcode made it even harder to pull off some of these combos online. I feel like we all appreciate execution. I mean, I have a lot of respect and love for execution. Games that there's like executional significance are really cool to me. The way in which we have execution is just different now. It's just managing a lot of things at once, or like, you know, the speed in which you input something, or being able to react fast. That's where the execution comes from. Not that it's bad, but I do appreciate things actually being hard to input as well, because it makes the significant moments feel even more significant. Another cool thing too is the roster in this game is fucking massive, and back in all the games they would just release the full roster. It wasn't like, oh, hey, like prepare for this season of DLC or anything like that. You got a full and complete game. Yes, we got the iteration of Super and Ultra adding on to the roster, but that was just new versions of the game. I don't know, it was different. This was kind of the last generation of fighting games where people just kind of accepted what the game was and like learned to like play around stuff. Now it seems as if everyone's complaining on Twitter asking for nerfs or buffs or like, oh, this character's broken or whatever. You know, it's less about playing around what exists. Out of my understanding, though, the biggest things people complain about in this version of the game was Red Focus and Elena. People didn't like this character. Me personally, Relento seems like an absurd character to fight. I fought one of him online, had no idea what the fuck was happening to me. I got destroyed. And that's kind of my biggest love loss with this game, is I didn't really get to spend a significant amount of time with this game just because I didn't understand how fighting games worked. Selectable ultras is cool too. I actually prefer selectable supers and ultras and stuff like that versus having access to all of them like you do in Street Fighter 6. But I don't. Oh, this might be problematic. But no problem with having access to all of them. I think it's cool, like having the choice. I don't know. That could just be a me thing. All right, buddy. Oh, this is gonna be pesky. Okay. There we go. Oh, we traded. Oh no. Nice dive kick. I don't like jumping a lot, but I feel like it's almost necessary. He's also not anti-airing me as well. Nice. Oh, I dropped it. Nice. There it is. Let's go, baby. Give me that shit. Nice. Nice. Okay, he's coming alive a little bit. Oh, I got a combo. There it is, baby. Give me that shit. I'm the greatest. The biggest thing this game is missing is honestly just really good netcode. Like, if this game just like, oh, hey, have some GGPO, this would be like a perfect game. No problem with that. Characters feel distinct. There's a lot of characters to pick from. There's a lot of fucked up shit if you're into that. Like, if you want characters to be fucked up, you should play this game. Like I said in one of the last videos, I think the best thing Capcom could do would be to release a 3-pack of Vanilla, Super, and Ultra with rollback netcode. That way, you can play whichever version you want. I know a lot of people say that Super is the best version, that's the version they like the most. I have no problem playing any of them, but just being able to easily revisit without owning the actual discs, which I do. The only one I don't own physically is actually Ultra. It feels like these games are the ones Capcom is ignoring, and who knows for how long. If I remember correctly, there was kind of like a Titanic situation going on with this game from this version to Street Fighter V. A lot of players were hanging behind in Street Fighter 4 because I think they just prefer how much more the game demanded of you. But also, I think there were some tournaments going on, I could be misremembering, that were still going on for Street Fighter 4. And, you know, other people just wanted to get ahead of the game on Street Fighter 5 and just like fully commit all in. The biggest thing is it's hard to give up a game that you've been playing for hundreds upon thousands of hours to go to a game that you might view as lesser or is less fleshed out. One of the things that's really cool about this game in particular is the decision making that comes from execution. It is a constant choice what combos to go for. I mean, there's a phrase called tournament combos, right? The combos that you use in tournament because they're so hard to mess up. But because combos are easy to mess up in this game, it creates a constant back and forth. Let's say, for instance, you have 3 combos with a character that you particularly go for. One being a safe jump, you know, really easy to do, hard to mess up, and gets you in a good situation because you have safe jump. The next one is definitely a bit harder, but it leads into like a really good mix-up game and maybe even like an unblockable situation. And thirdly is your max damage combo. Very high risk, very high reward. And what's fucking awesome is when you need that third combo. That's when you get moments like this.
Oh, and he gets him again. He's got a real hard read on that now.
Oh! Joy, you can. What are you saying?
Oh no!
So let's not downplay the execution conversation. I have a lot of love for execution and things being difficult to do. Being able to flex in a fighting game is fucking sick. Bring it back, please. The problem with games being executionally difficult is the defensive aspect, like challenging or punishing anything because there is no buffer window to take advantage of defensively. It means in some situations, your opponent might get away with murder. Like, I think Balrog, for one of his dash straights, like punishing that on defense is like a 1-frame link defensively. So execution in parentheses good is not the end of the conversation. All right, let's move on to Street Fighter V, yeah? Street Fighter V, as we all know, released. Street Fighter V's release, for all intents and purposes, was a very incomplete game. It didn't have a lot going on. You could ask anybody about how much content it was lacking. I, once again, wasn't really playing this game at the time when it dropped. The big game that got me into fighting games for real was Dragon Ball FighterZ, and anything before then I didn't really touch. It took a long time for me to get into this game, and when I did, it was a good time to hop in at. A little bit better netcode, a lot fuller of a roster, the game just in general being in a better state. And yeah, like I said, I do regret not hopping in sooner. A lot of people from Street Fighter 4 were pissed about this game because they felt as if they were losing their creative expression. You know, this game being a lot executionally more lenient with the buffer timing adding. It made combos less significant. It was less of a driving factor. There's still executionally difficult things to do from time to time. Street Fighter 5, with lowering its execution barrier of entry, wanted to make it so more people could pick up and play the game. It focused more on the neutral aspect of the game. Not that Street Fighter 4 was lesser in the neutral department, but when you strip away something like execution, you're left with neutral being what remains. I'm not really sure the main complaints when it came to this game. Like, a lot of them got alleviated over time. The biggest thing people were really mad about was, of course, V-Trigger. And how, oh man, they're throwing comeback mechanics into Street Fighter. And yeah, it is a comeback mechanic. I think it's interesting because, like, it spices up your character throughout the course of the round. Sometimes you might not even see your V-Trigger if you're really just absolutely destroying someone. And like I said in one of the last videos, not all V-Triggers are created equal. Kage is like a dramatically better one than Karin's. But Karin is a, like, really well-rounded character, but it also has you select your V-Trigger and V-Skill depending on like the matchup at hand. Maybe V-Trigger 1 is better for whatever character that you're fighting versus like, oh, you know, this V-Trigger plus this V-Skill makes it like a really good matchup with this character, and I like the mix and match kind of aspect. I thought that was really cool, actually. Stun is actually a visible mechanic, by the way. You can see your stun bar build up throughout the course of the round, so that's nice to be able to manage and pay attention to that. Does anyone know what season it is? It's comeback season. Oh, let's go, baby. Nice. Okay. Wow. Fuck, man. Sure, those kills right.
Your league has moved up to Ultra Silver.
Nice. Let's go, baby. Valid. Looking saucy with the shit, baby. Let's go. Nice. Dead? No. Alright, GG's. You know what I do hate about this game? I hate the matchmaking. I hate this menu. So many times have I just left it on by accident. And dude, it's so annoying when I think I'm wrapped up and it's like, oh, you have found a new challenger. I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't think I ever ran into the fucked up shit in this game. And the stuff I thought was fucked up before wasn't all that bad because I was just really shitty at the games. But yeah, one of the biggest problems people generally have, I didn't really have a problem with just because it just gave you access to a more interesting version of the character as the game went on. It's fine if you don't like certain V-triggers because yes, there are some that are clearly more powerful than others. But as a whole, I think the game is a lot of fun to play. Street Fighter 6. Much like the other games, I like this game a lot, and retroactively, I might like Street Fighter 5 a little bit more than Street Fighter 6, because one of the biggest complaints about this game is it feels less like you're fighting a matchup or fighting characters as much as you are fighting the mechanics of the game. And to that extent, I actually agree, especially going back as much as I have been for Street Fighter 5. I've actually been playing a lot of Street Fighter 5. Ironically enough, or I guess maybe it's not ironic at all, this version of the game has the best netcode, so you're going to be getting your widest player base that you can, and the connection is going to be the most stable that it can. We're still very much in the early stages of the game as of right now, so the roster comparatively is a lot more limited than the previous games, of course. You know, naturally, those rosters filled out a lot over time. I think it's really hard to enjoy any game if you don't have a character that you like. Fortunately enough for myself, I have Ed. Like, as soon as this character came out, I was like, I'm playing this character. One of the other major complaints I hear a lot about is throw loops. It's just people going for throw Oki, essentially, and just looping that over and over. The biggest defensive mechanic to this is obviously delay tech. I'm not going to explain how delay tech works. I'm sure there's plenty of other people that have made more extensive videos about it. But it's just teching late on your wake up where you think a melee attack might hit. Now, what I mean by fighting the mechanics of the game is the base mechanics of Street Fighter 6 are so all-encompassing with the drive meter. Drive gives you access to everything. It's your EX special moves, it's your drive rush, it's drive impact, it's parry. It is also drive reversal, but I'm not going to set up drive reversal right now. It's so all-encompassing that if you don't jive with this mechanic, I can understand how you wouldn't like the whole package of the game. I don't know why I'm saying jive so much. If you don't like the mechanic, I can understand how you don't like the whole package of the game. I personally don't mind it. I think it extends the Street Fighter gameplay in a way that we haven't seen before, and that's one of the things I appreciate the most about the Street Fighter games is that each title feels differentiated one from another. Like, there's value into going back to Street Fighter 4, there's value into going back into Street Fighter 5, there's value in playing Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter is a lot like picking your favorite ice cream. Not every time that I go out for ice cream do I pick the same flavor every time. Sometimes I switch it up. Sometimes I'll have vanilla. If I go to this place that I like to go to, they have an apple pie ice cream, which is godlike. I was talking to my friend Peter, and he was saying how he wouldn't mind like a V-shift mechanic in Street Fighter 6, but I think Street Fighter 6 is so mechanically rich with the drive system that it's hard to cram anything new into. Street Fighter 5 was a pretty barren game, so it was totally fine for them to throw something in like V-shift. And also people just appreciated having another defensive option outside of V-reversal. The thing I like the most about the drive system is that it's like constant decision making. It keeps you constantly involved. Whether you want to spend meter to extend a combo, or if you want to spend meter to do a reversal option, or if you want to use it for drive reversal, or the execution aspect in perfect parry. I like that there's constant decision making going on. Another big complaint is that the drive system homogenizes a lot of characters and makes them feel samey. I get what you guys mean by that because, the combo structure is like, okay, just combo everything into dry rush, this, that, the other. That's the way you extend combos. And then the neutral aspect looks a lot like this. Throw fireball, dry rush behind, this, that, the third. I do get what you guys mean, but I don't mind it. Like, this is the super dash button from Dragon Ball FighterZ, and people, like, a lot of people don't like super dash in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I get it. I think the biggest thing I have in my favor is that I play a lot of other games outside of Street Fighter, so if I am sick about, like, you know, dry rush combos, dry rush neutral, managing burnout, this, that, and the third, I can just go and play something else. And the only time the game really looks like that, like, you know, dry rushing and neutral, it's not something you see until, like, the upper ranks. Like, I'm sure there's a trickle-down effect where more people at lower levels are doing it, I guess, maybe in, like, Platinum and maybe Gold, I don't know. But it's most commonly seen at, like, higher level gameplay, like Diamond into Master into Legends is where it kind of gets normalized. And if that's not something you vibe with, I get it. But once again, it falls into the decision making aspect. It's like, okay, you have to spend a resource to get plus frames. You have to spend a resource to extend your pressure. You have to, like, constantly manage this resource. And I like it a lot. I don't know. I'm fine with it. I have no problems. Retroactively, I think I'm liking Street Fighter V a bit more than this game, but it's also really easy to say in the moment. Like, because you're committing so much time in one direction of one thing, it's natural that you want to break from that thing, and, like, anything outside of that seems refreshing. That's probably why Street Fighter V is like, oh yeah, man, this game is really fun, which, you know, I thought the game was fun before, but it's probably emphasized by the fact that I've been playing this game so much. You know, I'm going to locals for this game. I'm grinding out ranked a little bit more. I just ran, like, a long set 2 days in a row with one of my friends, Peter. Now, I could imagine in a game of this structure, if you don't have a character that you like, this game just might be miserable, but that can be said about any game. If you don't have a character you're vibe, I was going to say jive. If you don't have a character that you're, like, really messing with heavily, like, of course this game can be frustrating. I enjoyed my time with Ken and Cammy, and still come back to those characters, but dude, Ed was, like, my saving grace with this game. Like, I really love Ed a lot. Like, he facilitates the way I like to play the game a lot. He does what I want. One of the things that kind of, like, frustrates me about this game is actually modern controls. You know, it has its damage deficit and, you know, less access to, like, a vast toolkit, but the, like, how powerful being able to reaction DP or reaction super with just, like, a button or two is very powerful. Like, and that can be frustrating because it makes you play the game differently around when you fight a modern player. I like the way this version spices up how characters' kits work. Like, it makes them feel a little bit more distinct than the previous version. You're not just playing the same character from Street Fighter V. If everyone collectively wanted to play any one of these, I wouldn't have no problem. I think they're all so fun. Because the framework of how to play Street Fighter doesn't change. It's just the mechanics slapped on each one. But I think that's where we're going to end things. What version of Street Fighter did you get invested into fighting games on? And how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.